The night her best friend forgot I was in the room started with my girlfriend laughing at a party. Then her best friend said, "He still doesn't know." I looked up from the couch. Everyone froze, and one screenshot turned our whole friend group into a war zone. Original post: I was sitting on the couch with a half-empty soda in my hand when my girlfriend's best friend forgot I was in the room. That was the exact moment my relationship ended. Not officially, not yet, but something inside me shut off so fast it almost scared me. My name is Ryan. I'm 29. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and I work as a logistics coordinator for a medical supply company. Nothing exciting. I wake up at 5:45, answer too many emails, track late shipments, pay rent, buy groceries, and try not to make my life more complicated than it already is. My girlfriend, Madison, was 27. She worked as a social media manager for a local fitness studio. We had been together almost 3 years and had lived together for 8 months in a 2-bedroom apartment that cost $2,100 a month, split almost evenly, even though I paid more of the groceries because she always said her paychecks came in weird. The party was at our apartment. Madison called it a small wine night. Small wine night somehow became 11 people, 2 pizza boxes, 3 bottles of tequila nobody admitted buying, and my downstairs neighbor texting me, "Bro, please tell them to stop stomping." I wasn't even mad at first. I had worked a 10-hour shift because one of our drivers called out, so I was tired, but I tried to be cool. Madison had been stressed all week, saying she needed one normal night with friends. So I cleaned the kitchen, ordered the pizzas, paid for extra ice, and mostly stayed out of the way. Around 11:30, I was sitting in the living room corner, half hidden by the arm of the sectional. The lights were low, music was playing, and most people were in the kitchen laughing. Madison was standing near the counter with her best friend, Kelsey. Kelsey was loud. Not evil, not stupid, just loud in that way where she thought every room wanted her commentary. She and Madison had been friends since college, and I had always tried to get along with her even though she treated me like furniture with a debit card. Then I heard her say it. "Oh my God, Mad, stop. He still doesn't know." The room didn't go silent right away. It did that worst thing where a few people kept laughing for half a second, then slowly realized something had shifted. Madison's face changed. She looked at Kelsey, then she looked toward the hallway, then she looked at me, and Kelsey turned around, saw me on the couch, and whispered, "Oh." I didn't jump up, I didn't yell, I just said, "No what?" Nobody answered. Madison laughed, but it came out wrong. "Nothing, Kelsey's drunk." Kelsey immediately said, "I'm not drunk." That made everything worse. A guy named Trevor, who was dating one of Madison's coworkers, stared down at his cup like it had suddenly become fascinating. Madison walked over to me and said quietly, "Can we not do this right now?" I said, "Do what?" she said. "Interrogate me in front of everyone." That was the first time I felt embarrassed because she said it loud enough for people to hear. Like I had created the problem by asking the obvious question. I looked at Kelsey again. "What don't I know?" Kelsey opened her mouth and Madison snapped, "Kelsey." That one word told me more than any confession could have. I stood up and walked to our bedroom. Madison followed me immediately. She shut the door behind her and said, "You are making this so dramatic." I said, "Your best friend said I still don't know something." "What is it?" Madison folded her arms. "It was a joke." "What was the joke?" She stared at me. I said, "Madison, what was the joke?" She finally said, "I was going to tell you after the holidays." My stomach dropped. This was early November. "What were you going to tell me after the holidays?" She looked annoyed, like I was forcing her to be honest at an inconvenient time. "I got offered a position in Chicago." I blinked. That was not what I expected, but it still hit me hard. "When?" "2 weeks ago." "And you didn't tell me." "I was figuring it out." I laughed once, not because it was funny, but because my brain needed somewhere to put the shock. "We live together." "I know that. Our lease runs until August." "I know, Ryan. And your friends know." She looked away. That tiny look away did more damage than the actual words. I said, "Who knows?" She said, "Just Kelsey." Then from the other side of the bedroom door, someone laughed and said, "Girl, everybody knows." I opened the door. Madison tried to grab my arm, but I stepped out. Kelsey was standing in the hallway with her phone in her hand. Her face went pale like she had just walked into traffic. I said, "Everybody knows what?" Kelsey said, "Ryan, I'm sorry." Madison said, "Shut up." And that was the second moment, the real one, because my girlfriend didn't say, "That's not true." She said, "Shut up." Update 1: the party ended in less than 10 minutes. Not because I kicked everyone out. I didn't have to. People started grabbing coats, whispering, pretending they had early mornings, pretending they suddenly cared about work schedules. Madison kept saying, "This is ridiculous," while standing in the kitchen with both hands shaking around her wine glass. Kelsey wouldn't look at her. I stood near the front door and watched our friends leave my apartment like witnesses leaving a crime scene. Then my phone buzzed. It was from Trevor. I barely knew Trevor. We had talked maybe 4 times, mostly about football and whether rent in Columbus had lost its mind. His text said, "Bro, I don't know what she told you, but you should ask about Denver too." Denver. My hands went cold. I looked across the room at Madison. She was wiping the counter too aggressively, like cleaning sticky tequila from granite was the emergency. I texted Trevor back. "What about Denver?" He replied, "I'm sorry, man, I thought you knew." Then he sent a screenshot. It was from a group chat called Mad's Escape Plan. I stared at the name for a long time. Mad's Escape Plan. In the screenshot, Madison had written, "If Ryan starts talking about renewing anything or future plans, please redirect him. I just need to get through the holidays without a meltdown." Kelsey replied, "He's going to be so blindsided, lol." Another friend, Dana, wrote, "Not lol, that's kind of rough." Madison answered, "I know, but I can't deal with his sad face right now." His sad face. That was me. 3 years of building a life, split bills, emergency Target runs, taking her car to get new tires because she was afraid the mechanic would overcharge her, holding her while she cried about her dad not calling on her birthday. And in her group chat, I was his sad face. I didn't show Madison the screenshot right away. I asked, "What is Denver?" She froze. Then she said, "Why?" I said, "Because someone just told me to ask about it." Her expression shifted from annoyed to scared. That was answer enough. She put the dish towel down and said, "Ryan, people are twisting things." "What is Denver?" She sighed like I was exhausting her. "There was a conference." "When?" "Last month. You told me you were visiting your sister in Cincinnati." She closed her eyes. That was when I remembered the weekend. She had packed one small suitcase, kissed me on the cheek, and told me her sister was going through relationship stuff. I worked overtime that Saturday and sent her $25 on Venmo for lunch because she said her card was acting weird. I said, "Was your sister in Denver too?" Madison didn't answer. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Kelsey. She sent, "I know I messed up tonight, but you deserve to know this wasn't just a job thing. I'm sorry." Then came a photo. Madison at a rooftop bar in Denver, wearing the black dress I bought her for our anniversary. Next to her was a guy I recognized immediately. Illy. Her client contact. She had mentioned him for months. Illy from the gym brand partnership. Illy who was so intense about deadlines. Illy who called after dinner because he was bad with time zones, even though Denver was only 2 hours behind us. In the photo, Madison's hand was on his chest. Not friendly, not professional, not accidental. Madison saw my face change. She said, "What did she send you?" I turned my phone around. For once, she had nothing clever to say. Then she did the worst possible thing. She reached for my phone. I stepped back. She said, "That picture looks bad, but it wasn't what you think." I said, "You went to Denver with him. It was a work trip. You lied and said Cincinnati, because you get insecure." There it was. The old move. Do something suspicious, then make my reaction the problem. I said, "Did you cheat on me?" She said, "Not physically." I actually laughed. Not physically. As if betrayal came with categories and I was supposed to be grateful I got the lighter package. Before I could respond, my phone started exploding. Kelsey had clearly decided that if the house was burning, she might as well open every window. Screenshots came in one after another. Madison telling the group chat, "Illy thinks I should move before New Year's." Madison saying, Ryan is sweet but too safe. Madison saying, I feel like I'm playing house with someone's dad. Madison saying, if he proposes, I might fake my own death. That one got a laughing reaction from Kelsey. I sat down at the kitchen table because my legs felt weird. Madison stood across from me crying now, but it didn't feel like regret. It felt like panic. She kept saying, I was venting. I said, you told 10 people I was a prison you needed to escape. She whispered, I didn't mean it like that. Then Dana called me. Dana was one of Madison's friends, not mine. I almost didn't answer, but something in me wanted one person to say something normal. I picked up. Dana said, Ryan, I'm sorry. I tried to tell her this was wrong. Madison yelled, don't answer that. Dana heard her and said, put me on speaker. I did. Dana said, Madison, stop lying. You told us you were waiting until after Ryan paid December rent because you didn't want to cover the full apartment if you moved. The room went silent again. But this time there was no party noise to hide behind, just the refrigerator humming and Madison breathing hard. I looked at her and said, you were going to let me pay December rent while planning to leave, she said. I didn't have the money yet. That answer was so honest it felt cruel. Not no. Not I would never. Just I didn't have the money yet. Update 2: by midnight, our apartment had become the center of a digital disaster. Kelsey was sending apology paragraphs. Dana was sending screenshots. Trevor was sending context. Madison was sending messages to everyone else saying, please stop sending Ryan stuff. You're making this worse. And I was sitting at the kitchen table discovering that my life had been a group project I was not invited to. The wildest part was that I didn't yell. I wanted to. I had anger sitting in my chest like a brick, but I also knew Madison. If I yelled, the story tomorrow would be, Ryan went crazy. So I got quiet. I opened my banking app. Rent came out on the 1st. Utilities were due the 10th. Internet was in my name. The couch was mine. Her desk was hers. The bed frame we split. The mattress I bought because her old one hurt her back. Groceries from that week were mostly mine because she had said she was between invoices. I looked at Madison and said, you're sleeping in the guest room tonight. She said, this is my apartment too. I said, then I'll sleep in the guest room, but we're not sharing a bed. She started crying harder. You're really going to throw away 3 years over drunk gossip? That sentence almost broke my brain. I said, Madison, I have photos, screenshots, your friends confirming it and you admitting you lied about Denver. She said, because you're acting like I'm some monster. No, I'm acting like I'm done being treated like the last person to know my own life. That was when she got mean, not screaming mean, cold mean. She wiped her eyes and said, you want the truth? I didn't tell you because you make everything heavy. Every decision becomes a spreadsheet. Every risk becomes a discussion. I wanted something that felt exciting for once. That hurt because part of it was true. I am careful. I do overthink money. I do plan bills 2 months ahead. I do ask questions before big decisions. But I had become that way because in our relationship somebody had to be the adult. When her car insurance lapsed, I helped fix it. When she forgot her credit card payment, I covered groceries. When she cried because her boss cut her hours, I picked up overtime. But somehow in her version, stability was a cage. I said, you could have broken up with me. She said nothing. I said, you could have told me you wanted Chicago. You could have told me about Italy. You could have told me you didn't want this. She whispered, I didn't want to hurt you. I said, no, you didn't want consequences. Then my phone buzzed again. This time it was a screen recording from Kelsey. I didn't even want to open it, but Madison saw the preview and lunged across the table. That told me I had to. The screen recording was from Instagram close friends. Madison had posted a video from Denver. In it, she was sitting in a hotel room holding a glass of champagne, laughing while Ellie's voice said from off camera, to new beginnings. Madison said, to finally choosing myself. Then she blew a kiss at the camera. I watched it twice. Not because I needed to, because my brain refused to accept that the woman who had texted me, "Miss you, babe," that same night was posting champagne videos about new beginnings with another man. Madison sat down slowly. She said, I blocked you from that story because I knew you'd misunderstand. That might be the worst sentence anyone has ever said to me. I said, "You blocked your boyfriend from seeing your hotel room toast with another man because your boyfriend would misunderstand." She looked down. Then came the biggest twist. Kelsey called me. I answered, and before she could speak, Madison yelled, "If you say one more thing, I swear I'm done with you." Kelsey said, "You're already done with me. You blamed me in the chat." Madison went still. I said, "What chat?" Kelsey said, "She made a new group chat without you and without me. She's telling everyone I got drunk and exaggerated because I'm jealous of her moving." Madison whispered, "Kelsey, don't." Kelsey said, "No, you don't get to make me your scapegoat because you forgot your boyfriend was sitting 10 feet away." Then she sent me another screenshot. Madison had written, "Kelsey has always been weird about Ryan. She probably wanted him to hear." Another friend asked, "Are the Denver screenshots fake?" Madison replied, "Not fake, just taken out of context." Then she wrote, "Ryan is going to act calm and wounded because that's his thing. Please don't feed into it." His thing. Again, my pain had a nickname. Kelsey said over the phone, "Ryan, I was wrong for laughing in that group chat. I was wrong for not telling you, but I'm not taking the fall for Madison planning this behind your back." Madison started sobbing. For the first time, I think it hit her that she had not just lost control of me. She had lost control of the room. Within 20 minutes, the friend group split in real time. Dana left the new chat. Trevor posted, "I'm not lying for anybody." Another girl named Shelby wrote, "I thought Ryan knew they were basically broken up." That sentence opened a whole new door. I asked Madison, "Basically broken up?" She covered her face. Apparently, for weeks, Madison had been telling people that we were emotionally separated, that I slept in the guest room sometimes, and that we were just waiting for the lease to end. None of that was true. We had been sleeping in the same bed. We had gone grocery shopping 3 days earlier. Her mom had texted me a recipe for Thanksgiving stuffing because Madison told her I was making turkey. But in public, I was already the ex. I called her mom. That might sound dramatic, but her mom, Lisa, had always been kind to me, and I wanted to know whether I was insane. Lisa answered sleepy and worried. I said, "I'm sorry for calling late. Did Madison tell you we broke up?" Lisa paused. Then she said, "Ryan, she told me you two were struggling, but she said you were working through it." Madison whispered, "Don't bring my mom into this." Lisa said, "Madison, what did you do?" That broke her. She started crying like a child, saying she was confused, she felt trapped. She didn't know how to tell me, she didn't want everyone mad at her. Lisa didn't comfort her the way Madison expected. She said, "Feeling confused does not give you permission to humiliate someone who trusted you." That was the first time all night I felt my throat tighten, because someone finally said the thing I couldn't. I wasn't angry because she wanted to leave. People fall out of love. People change. People outgrow relationships. I was angry because she turned my life into a waiting room while she made plans with everyone else. By 2 in the morning, Madison packed a small bag and went to Kelsey's apartment. Yes, Kelsey's. Because even after everything, Kelsey still let her sleep on the couch. Before she left, Madison stood by the door and said, "So that's it?" I said, "Yes." She said, "You're not even going to fight for us." I looked at her bag, then at my phone full of screenshots, then at the apartment I had cleaned for her party. I said, "You made a group chat called Mad's Escape Plan. You already escaped." She left crying. I locked the door behind her. Then I sat on the floor in the kitchen until sunrise. Final update: the next morning, I woke up to 23 missed calls. 6 from Madison, 4 from Kelsey, 2 from Dana, 1 from Madison's mom. The rest were from numbers I didn't recognize, probably friends who had suddenly developed opinions about my relationship at 8 in the morning. I didn't answer Madison. I texted her one thing. "We need to talk about the lease, bills, and belongings. Nothing else." She replied instantly. "Can we please talk like humans?" I said. "That is talking like humans. You just don't like the topic." That was the first message I sent all night that felt like choosing myself. I emailed our leasing office and asked what options existed for removing one tenant or breaking the lease. No legal drama, no court, no police, nothing cinematic, just paperwork, fees, and adult consequences. The leasing manager said we could either both stay responsible until August, or one of us could qualify a loan with proof of income. I qualified. Madison did not. That changed everything. When Madison realized she could not just float away to Chicago while leaving me tangled in the lease, she became very apologetic. Not, "I hurt you" apologetic at first. More like, "Please don't make this harder for me" apologetic. She asked if she could stay 2 more weeks. I said no. Then I said she could come get her things on Saturday while my brother Caleb was there. She accused me of treating her like a criminal. I said, "No, I'm treating you like someone I don't trust alone in my apartment." Saturday was awkward. Madison showed up with Kelsey and Dana, which I did not expect. Kelsey looked like she hadn't slept. Dana hugged me, which surprised me. Madison barely looked at me while packing clothes, makeup, her ring light, and half the bathroom products she had once insisted were ours. At one point, she found the black anniversary dress in the closet. The Denver dress. She held it for a second, then put it in a trash bag instead of a suitcase. I didn't say anything. There was nothing left to win. Kelsey pulled me aside near the front door and said, "I know sorry doesn't fix it, but I really am sorry." I said, "You didn't betray me the way she did, but you helped make me a joke." She nodded. No excuses, just nodded. That actually meant more than a fake speech would have. Madison overheard and said, "So everyone gets forgiveness except me." I said, "No one got forgiveness today. Some people just stopped lying faster." She started crying again, but quieter this time. Before she left, she asked if I had ever planned to propose. That question felt like getting punched through a memory. Because yes, I had. Not that month. Not dramatically. But I had looked at rings online. I had saved a few. I had even asked her mom what kind of jewelry Madison liked without making it obvious. I told her the truth. "Yes." She covered her mouth and whispered, "Ryan," I said, "that version of us doesn't exist anymore." She left after that. For about 2 weeks, the friend group kept having aftershocks. People unfollowed people. A few tried to stay neutral, which mostly meant they wanted access to everyone's drama without taking responsibility. Trevor sent me one last message saying, "I should have said something sooner." I told him, "Yeah, you should have." And that was it. Madison did move to Chicago in January, not with Ali. From what I heard, Ali went back to his actual girlfriend because apparently that part was messy too. I didn't ask for details. I had enough screenshots to last me a lifetime. Madison emailed me once in March. It was longer than I expected. She admitted she had been selfish. She said she liked feeling admired by someone who didn't know her bills, her anxiety, her bad habits, or her real life. She said I represented responsibility, and instead of appreciating it, she resented me for being steady. That line stayed with me, because I had spent weeks wondering if being steady made me boring. But now I think steady only feels boring to someone addicted to chaos. I'm not perfect. I can be too cautious. I can turn small plans into budget meetings. I can shut down emotionally when I feel disrespected. I probably ignored signs because I wanted peace more than truth. But I did love her honestly, and when the truth finally came out, I didn't have to destroy her. She had already done that part by making her private disrespect public. I stayed in the apartment. I moved my desk into the second bedroom and turned it into a small office. I bought a cheaper couch from Facebook Marketplace because the old one reminded me of that night. I changed the Wi-Fi name, blocked Madison's number, and started cooking actual dinners instead of eating whatever was easiest after work. Some nights were still rough. There's a special kind of loneliness that comes after betrayal, because you don't just miss the person. You miss the version of reality you thought you were living in. But peace came back slowly, through quiet mornings, through bills paid on time, through friends who didn't need a group chat to tell me the truth, through realizing that being the last to know doesn't make you stupid. It means you trusted someone who used your trust as cover. The night her best friend forgot I was in the room, I thought my life was falling apart. Now I think it was the first honest thing anyone in that room had done for me. If this story hit close to home, subscribe for more stories like this, like the video, and share it with someone who needs the reminder. And tell me in the comments, have you ever been the last person to find out the truth, Or what would you have done in my place?